Hey guys, welcome back to the Ron Williams YouTube channel. Now the question is this: how can you make your biceps wider? Well, I'm going to ask you a question. How can you make your biceps longer? Or how can you make your biceps shorter? I'll ask you even a deeper question, which is easier to answer. How can I make this bone longer? Guess what? I can't. I was born with a short bone from here to here. But I was also born with a long muscle from here to here. I was born with that. So how can I make my biceps longer? I can't make them any longer, but what I can do is I can maximize the length of the bicep because I was genetically given a certain type of muscle group, a certain type of muscle fiber, a certain muscle belly, and I can't live outside of that. So I've got a long muscle belly that ties into my forearm. So what does that mean? It means I have a long muscle on a short bone. Actually makes my arms look bigger than they really are. My arms have never been over 20 inches, never. But a lot of people say, how big are your arms? Are your arms 21, 22 inches? No, never have been. But when you have a short bone and a long muscle, it feels that bone and it protrudes and it looks bigger than what it really is. So by the same means, you can't make if you have a long muscle here, hopefully I can build that muscle in such a way that it spills over to make it appear to be bigger. Now the way we work our bicep is from this position to this position. We stay within that arc from here to here. If we bring the elbows up, guess what? We're starting to work the deltoid. So it's from here to here. We want that muscle to grow, but we also want to have a nice shapely muscle. So the supination process helps to work on the peak of that muscle group. So when I come up, I turn it like this to peak contract. But what's happening to that muscle group, just like you see the muscle move when I'm rotating my wrist, the same thing happens in this position. And I'm working on building that peak on the bicep. But initially, this is what I want to say. If you have a certain muscle type, it is not going to change, but you can work within that muscle type and develop it as much as you possibly can to make it look better. If it looks good, it'll look better. If it doesn't look good, you can make it look good. But just like with people with high calves, if the calf is extremely high and you don't have a lot of muscle fiber there, you can work it and work it and work it and work it. And guess what? It's not going to do very much. It'll get better, but it'll never be genetically great. You just don't have it there. So you can see other people that have these long calf muscles that go all the way down into their ankles. Some people hate it, especially girls, when they're genetically blessed with great calves, they hate it because bodybuilders would die and kill for it. But that girl says, I want my calves to be feminine and dainty, but they have a long muscle in that calf and they have a lot of muscle fiber. It's easy to make that calf grow. With every body part, it is the same. Some of us are more genetically blessed than others in different areas. When I first started with bodybuilding, my chest was the weakest body part. My back was one of my best body parts. My biceps have always been a good body part, so I maximize that by making sure I get a full range of motion and I get the peak contractions and cause that muscle group to grow, hopefully spill over. But if I turn my arm a certain way, I'm not going to change the shape of that muscle group. I always say this: stay within the body's structure. I don't want to turn my knees out. I don't want to turn my arms out. I don't want to go against the joint. I want to stay within the body structure in that arc formation. I don't want to do straight overhead presses. I'm going to damage the shoulders. So I do laterals, or I push directly to the front, but never straight overhead because I don't want to damage anything. So with the biceps, the conclusion is this: make sure with whatever exercise you're using, whether it's the heavy barbells, that you're concentrating on the form. You're not getting a momentum. When you're doing contractions and you're isolating, make sure as you're squeezing, you're contracting all the way up. If you're working on the peak of that bicep, make sure you're coming all the way up and you're squeezing and turning because you're getting the same motion even though you can't see that peak contraction. Do it. Tell me how it works. Coach out.